Just before we check the gauge, I forgot to remind you to double knot that wee knot before you sew the ends in, otherwise they'll unravel. But it's looking pretty damn cute. I hope yours is looking as good as you wanted it. If it's not, remember this might be your first go at knitting, first go at making a hat, first go at working in the round. So if it's not looking as awesome, please remember I've had a shite load of practice and not to take it too seriously. So we'll have a look at gauge, and this is helping to know how you work. This pattern has a gauge of 22 stitches to 4 inches or 10 centimeters, and that's this way. And if you're a looser knitter, it would mean your stitches are bigger, so it would take less stitches to get across 10 centimeters. Now I've got one of these handy dandy little gauges. They've got gauges for your needles and this here to line up and count our stitches. So when you first start knitting, don't stress too much about gauge. Once you get better at your knitting and you understand what is happening, then you can start to measure your gauge and see what's going on. But so inside here, I've got this is a wee row of stitches. So you want both the wee V's. So 1, 2. And then I'm going to count across. So this is 5 centimeters, and on the other side is my inches. So we've got 1, 2 inches, and we'll need to double whatever we count to get our 10 centimeter or 4 inch measurement. So we're going to count. Here's row number 1, column number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So double that is 22 stitches to the 4 inch or 10 centimeters, which I'm really pleased that I've got the same stitch count. This has worked in slightly different yarn to when I wrote the pattern. So let's say you have 10 stitches across here, which would mean you have 20 stitches to your 4 inch. That means that your stitches are slightly bigger than mine. And if you consistently do that, you can drop down a needle size, like to about a 3.75, 3.5 millimeter. If you have 12 stitches across here, or 24 stitches in total, when you double it, that means that your stitches are quite small, and that means you're a tight knitter. And you could go up a needle size to like a 4.25, 4.5 to consistently get gauge. So when it says, often patterns will say 22 stitches to the 4 inch and using 4 millimeter needle tips. Sometimes patterns will say up here, or whatever needle to obtain gauge, and that is what that means. So if you know that you're consistently a tighter knitter, you would go up a needle size. If you're consistently loose, then you'd go drop down a size. It's awesome when you knit to gauge, because you don't have to do any farting around. You can just stick with whatever needle and yarn they say. And I would not recommend fussing too much on your gauge until you're quite practiced at knitting. It comes and goes, a bit like with your crochet. The more you do, the better you get. So that is us. End of the gauge chat. End of the hat chat. If you wish to add a pom-pom on, you can certainly go for it. If you are thinking, how the hell do I make a pom-pom? Head to the next section. Otherwise, that's us done if you're not adding a pom-pom.